Hey friend, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and in this video I want to share with you my 4 favorite tools that make my life so much easier when I'm working with Christmas lighting. Now, if you're new to this hobby, you probably go online and you can see that with anything that you ask about in this hobby, there's about 100 different opinions on how to do it right. And so I'm not here to say that this is the only way or these are the only tools to use, but rather that these are just some simple tools that I've been using that have made my life so much easier, made my display much more stress-free. And that's my goal here at Learn Christmas Lighting. In fact, if you want to create a stress-free display, subscribe here on YouTube and head over to learnchristmaslighting.com, where I've got a free guide to help you know what you need to get started with Christmas lighting this coming season. Now, let's talk about tools for a minute. I could nerd about and buy tools all day long. And I've done that. I find tools that are great, I find tools that are terrible, and I find tools that are everywhere in between. But today, I just want to talk about tools that really help me with my wiring. And I said I was going to do, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but let me grab a 5th. Let's do 5. We're running out of space here. All right, so when it comes to putting together a Christmas light display, the old-fashioned kind of way, and what I used to do, involved a lot of soldering, a lot of stripping wires, and a lot of pain on your fingers from putting those pixels in pixel strips. But it's a lot easier today with some basic tools, and I would argue every one of these tools is well worth the investment because it saves you time and frustration. And to me, that's a really big deal. I've got kids, I've got young kids, and that matters. So the very first tool that I want to note is when you're pushing pixels, having a set of pixel tools of some sort can be super helpful. So I bought these from All Layered Up 3D. This guy is a pixel jig that you can put a strip, like a Boscoyo strip, through. And then this is a pixel pusher for regular pixel nodes that you can use to push the pixels into it. I can tell you the first year I did this, I did all my pixels by hand and it hurt so bad. And it was like 282 pixels, okay? And if you're going to do a lot of pixels, that really stinks. So this pixel pusher kit, the one I got in particular this year, has devices here for pushing square nodes on the back that are flat, and also for doing the pixel nodes that have the wire coming out the back, the standard ones. This one sits right up on them, pushes them in. This supports them. Now, if you're using pixel products like pixel strips or some other kind of prop, you can put your hand behind them or use a 10mm socket or something similar. This is a wrench from the stage lighting industry. It's about the same size that supports that strip really well. Okay, so that's my first tool that I really love. It's really made my life easier. Other places sell pixel pliers. I didn't buy any this year. Next year, I'm going to buy every type that I can find and test them out and see what I think. Next on our list of pixel tools is the Irwin Vice Grip Easy Strip, whatever you call them, wire strippers. I think they call them automatic. And if you've used wire strippers before or you've had to strip wires, you know how much of a fuss it can be. You've got to start and take off the outer insulation, then strip the wire's inner insulation, and you got to do that one at a time with every wire. Not so with these guys. They've got cutters and crimpers down here if you should need them, so you can cut the wire. And once you've done that, as long as the wires are straight in line, especially like before you split them, here, let's just do it quick. You then can put them in the jaw, watch a video, there's lots of good videos here on YouTube that show you how to do it. They're also kind of right-handed, which I am not. So we put them in the jaw, we put them to the amount side out past this center that we want it to strip, and we pull, and it strips the wire. Not only that, it just stripped both wires. Automatically, I didn't have to figure out the size, I just had to put in the distance, do it once, quick ka-ching, and it's good to go. This works great on most types of wires that have a high amount of plastic to them. If you're buying like really high quality portable wire, which usually you're not in this business or hobby, then if it has a lot of rubber on it and less plastic, these don't always work well. But for most wire from about I would say 16 to 14 gauge up to, very thin 26 gauge. This thing works great, and it saved me a ton of time and frustration, not only with this hobby, but also when doing stage lighting connectors, which I also do. My next tool is also for putting wire together. Actually, I'll cut this quick. And it is the Scotch Locks, the almighty Scotch Locks. Now, if you've been anywhere in 2018, what year is it? If you've been anywhere in 2019 in the holiday lighting world, let's try that again. If you've been anywhere in 2019 in the holiday lighting world, then you know Scotch Locks are all the rage. But let me tell you some secrets about Scotch Locks. They're awesome. No, really. So I have a box of them here. And what Scotch Locks are is they're a way to just take two wires wherever they're coming from. I'll just use these two wires here and attach them together. Now they're what's called an IDC connector. And what that means, my technical Davidized interpretation of that is, it means they got stabby things, okay? And IDC connectors are pretty common in the low voltage industry, even in high voltage really, sometimes, where you put your wires in, they go across some stabby teeth inside the connector. So I've inserted my wires into the Scotch Lock. And then all I do is take these special pliers. You don't technically need the special pliers, but they make it easier. And you press them down on the Scotch Lock. And then here's the best part. This is the 3M UR2. It gives you 3 wires. And when you press down, not only does it stab the wires through the back to make the connection across a metal plate, but also some goop leaks out. What is that goop? Well, that's called dielectric grease. And what that means is it waterproofs your connection. Yes! And it doesn't conduct electricity, which is, kind of important when dealing with electricity. All of that was so much quicker than soldering or even those solder sleeves, and these things are darn stinking reliable. I love Scotch Locks. Now, what you gotta know about them is you need to buy the real 3M ones. I imagine this is probably a patent issue, but they technically aren't supposed to work with 18 gauge wire. They do. But if you buy any off-brand, even like the expensive off-brand, like I have the Klein ones, which is usually a reputable brand, but those Scotch Locks are too small for the wire we use on our pixels in this hobby, so just say no. Go with the 3M ones. With everything I've talked about so far in this video, it's all going to be linked below, so you won't miss a thing. Alright? So, next tool. And then number 2. When I'm wiring up my house, I like to have, on the outside, my Ethernet runs coming to the inside. Now for me, that gets my data from my Raspberry Pi, which lives inside the house, and it brings it outside. Because my Raspberry Pi actually lives up in the attic with my permanent Christmas lights. And so I need a junction box. I need something on the outside to make my life easy to make that simple connection. What I've started using are these guys. These simple waterproof boxes off Amazon. They're very inexpensive. They're like $3. And you go in, maybe they're $5. They come with some wire connectors and some screws. Now personally, all I use is the screws. I throw out the wire connectors. And then what I do is I bring my Ethernet cables into it. I terminate them to keystone type jacks, and these are super easy to do, so much easier than the male RJ45 plugs. It's the female jack. And then I use a tiny little jumper to connect the two. It's a tight fit, but it makes it so that I could just close this up, pull out that wire at the end of the season, and be good to go. In fact, if you don't use a female jack, there's various jacks for connecting things, or you could even use Scotch Locks to make that connection and leave the wire or whatever you want to do at the end of the season. It takes a couple minutes more than, sure, a nicer Ethernet jack in a waterproof, junction box with a in-use cover, but it's also like way cheaper, and so I kind of go with these because I'm a cheapskate. Last on the list, guys, we have our Ethernet connector cable Glands. Now these guys are about to be your best friend. Why is that? Well, these guys make it super easy to connect Ethernet to your controllers. They offer a completely waterproof connection. In fact, you could probably even use these in place of these. All you do is take your Ethernet cable that's already terminated, could be a pre-built, could be one you make. You plug it in. Before you plug it in, of course, you slide in this on top of it. It actually works so that you can, I think you can technically slide it in with the full Ethernet still on there. You don't have to build the cable with this on it. So you put your cable through, slide in this slotted little washer thing, boom, put this on top, then you're good to go. It plugs in here, and there's also a reverse side that does the opposite. Fully waterproof. So I can put this, say, on a controller box, put this part on the outside, thread it all up, and so I would literally, in here, in this secondary gap, I would screw this on the side of my box, waterproof it here, boom. Waterproof it here, boom. Then, this would actually be the outside, this would be the inside. Plug in my connector, waterproof it up, boom, put it together, and I'm good to go. That's a quicker way. A way to really make it easier to hook up your controllers, whether that's a receiver board or a full-size controller, and be good to go. So, if you've enjoyed these 5 tools, be sure to like me here on Learn Christmas Lighting, subscribe, like the video, and go to learnchristmaslighting.com and check out my free guide to getting started this year with this hobby. Sure, this might have been overwhelming showing these tools and my favorite things. Maybe you liked it. Links to everything are below if you want to buy it, and I do appreciate it because I gain a tiny commission when you do so. Thank you so much, and have a great day.